Hello everybody, welcome back to another reading wrap-up video. Today we're going to be talking about the 4 books that I read in March. I feel like I could have totally read so much more, but I was in such a weird, there was some days I wasn't reading and I was so sad about it because I actually, looking at this little stack of 4 books, I really liked all of these for the most part, and I'm kind of sad about that. But I only read 4, and that's totally okay. I'm still on track for my goal, which I'm excited about. But I want to chat with you about these. I love talking about books. I definitely found a couple faves, and I have a lot I want to say. So let's just get started. So I'll start with the first book that I finished in March, which is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. And it's really funny because the day that I finished this, the second book, or the prequel, was announced, and I was like, wow, what great timing. So Legends and Lattes is something that I had heard so much about, and I was really excited to read it. It's a low stakes fantasy novel that's very cozy. There's really, like I said, low stakes, hardly any conflict. It's very just chill, relaxing. The conflict is easily resolvable, and this book is just a really great time. So like I said, it's a fantasy book. It's about this ex-battlefield woman orc who just wants to open a coffee shop in a town that she has found where no one really knows what coffee is, nobody really understands what she's doing, but along the way she kind of picks up people and they help her build this shop from the ground up. She has a little mouse friend named Thimble that runs the bakery, who is easily the best character in this entire book. He is the cutest thing on the planet. But honestly, to me, this entire book is just day in, day out, running a coffee shop, starting or having new recipes on the board, making new friends, meeting new kind people. This is like the ultimate cozy book. If it wasn't for the fact that she was an orc, this could easily just be a regular old book about a person opening a coffee shop in a town where no one knows what coffee is. It's very sweet. It's very charming. To me, this reminded me a lot of when I read The House in the Cerulean Sea. That gave me, that book made me feel like I had a warm hug. Like I was being hugged and in like the nicest way possible. And I feel like this was the same way. I just felt so nice. Everything just felt so kind and sweet. And like I said, this is just such a cute book. It was a really easy, quick read. Yeah, it was really sweet, and I don't know, I really loved it. So that was Legends and Lattes. I think I gave it 3 stars, 3.5 stars. It was really cute. Again, Legends and Lattes. The next book was my March book of the month pick, which if you are not signed up for book of the month, you absolutely should be. My referral link is down below. If you have not signed up, click it and then look at the banner on the top of the website. There's always a code to put in to get your first hardcover for $9.99, which is a steal considering most hardcovers are $26 to $30, and then every month they're 15 bucks, 16 bucks. It's a deal. I love it. So I had technically 3 picks for March, but I only completed one of my books, which I'm a little sad about. I'm reading my second one right now, which is The London Seance Society. I'll talk about that in my April book wrap up, but I did finish The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. I really love this cover. I think it's quite gorgeous. And I don't know if this was a debut or not, but this was the thriller pick for March. And this book is about a couple names, Gabe and Pippa. And it's multi-POV, so it follows Gabe and Pippa, or mostly Pippa, and then it follows another person. So they are a cute little family. They're a family of 4. They got 2 little daughters, and they live in this house that overlooks kind of the ocean, and there's a cliff next to it. And this cliff is essentially a place where a lot of people in the town go to unalive themselves, and it's known for that. So ever since they moved there, Gabe, the husband, has been very proactive about if he sees someone out there, he's going to save them. And he does end up saving 6 or 7 people, pretty much every single person that they saw since they've moved there that has gone to that cliff, except for one. And the one person, I believe her name is Amanda. I'm not sure. Yes, Amanda, and she is the second POV. There's a reason he doesn't save her, and it's very suspicious to Pippa. Pippa, she doesn't understand. I said Pippa. Girl, I got 2 kids myself. Pippa, she doesn't understand why. She's like, there's a deeper meaning to this, and then, secrets become unraveled. You get Amanda's POV from beyond the grave, but also it's sort of her looking out at her husband and seeing what happens post her death. And you kind of see how their 2 lives collide. And I thought this was very interesting. I'm not sure if the author intended for you to absolutely hate Gabe and Pippa, but I hate Gabe the most at the end. Like, he's seen initially to be a very good guy, but like I felt like his character was just a lot for me. I didn't really like him. I actually ended up really enjoying the other point of view, which you don't get as often, which was Amanda and her husband's. But this was very different. It was a little, to me, it wasn't like necessarily an intense thriller. There were a lot of moments where I was like, oh wow, like that, I didn't see that one coming, but it wasn't like a quick page turner thriller for me. I didn't want to immediately pick it up or stay up till midnight reading it. I was looking forward to reading it, but I was just like, So this was okay. And again, I think I gave this 3 stars. Would I recommend you read it if you like a thriller? Maybe, but not necessarily. It wouldn't be like the first book I tell you to pick up. It'd be like the 5th or 6th. But it was okay. I'm glad I read it. I was very like about it, about the end, the way that everything tied together. I was just like, it was okay. So that was The Soulmate. Next, I read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So I was actually super interested in reading Ninth House because I know the sequel to this, Hellbent, had just come out, and I had seen so many people excited about Hellbent, and I was like, I should probably be reading Ninth House. So this is a dark academia, which I believe this is my first dark academia, and I loved it. It is about, or it's set in Yale, where there are these secret societies who run based off of magic, and they do, you know, certain rituals and routines, like once a week, once a month, things like that. And there is a house that's sort of, I guess, the ninth house. I think it's pronounced, it's either Leith or Lethe. In my brain, I was saying Leith, but I could be wrong. And this house basically oversees all of these societies and makes sure that everything is kind of running smoothly and nothing's really getting out, you know, things like that. So the main character in this book is Alex, and she's a part of this Leith house, and she is overseeing things. And you're getting a lot from this. So the first 50 or so pages are the breakdown of everything. You're getting a lot of information thrown at you at once about each of these houses, but I highly recommend reading the first 50 pages in one sitting because you need to have all of that information in order to continue with the story. And the story basically starts when Alex is, like, not stumbles upon, but I kind of think she does, stumbles upon a murder, and because she's a part of this house, she has to also talk to like the police chief or like someone who works in the police station to come together and make sure it's not the secret societies every time that something like that happens. And they kind of blow her off, and she's like, nah, this is weird, like this has to do with some societies, things are being covered up. So she kind of goes on this whole like chase of trying to figure out what's going on. And it's really interesting because this magic is also kind of spooky in a sense. Like, she can see ghosts, and there's like things that can attack them. She has a person who's in charge of her who, like, I don't know how to explain this without giving anything away, but basically is gone because of something like serious. And it's just a lot. Like, these characters are fleshed out very well, and I really liked this. I thought it was so like entrancing. The storyline was very captivating. I really wanted to read this like as fast as I could, which is interesting considering I read it very slowly. But she has a really intense backstory. A lot of these characters have really intense backstories. I definitely do say though, there is probably a ton of trigger warnings for this book, so please check those out. I know there's a specific website. I don't know what the exact website is, but there is a specific website to go to see what the exact trigger warnings are, because there's a lot of stuff in here that I feel like could be a big turnoff for a lot of people. But I really enjoyed it. I had a great time reading this. Yeah, this was great. I really enjoyed this one. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to reading Hellbent. I'm not going to read it right away, but I kind of want to revel in this a little bit more, kind of sit with it, and yeah, I just really enjoyed this. So that was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, which I do have another Leigh Bardugo book. I think I have Shadow and Bone, which I'm interested in reading as well. And then last but not least, I'm so excited to talk about this book. I'm excited to talk about all of those, but this one I just finished and I have a lot of thoughts and feelings towards. This is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I had seen so many people talk about this book the same way they talked about Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, and Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren is probably my #1 favorite romance. It is so good. And this is probably my 1.5 favorite romance because this is also so good. So this is a YA romance. This is about Liz, and Liz is obsessed with rom-coms, basically to the point where she dresses like super cutesy, and she like thinks that she's like a main character. Not in that weird sense, but she just like, you know, she's like cutesy and sweet, and I don't know, she's great. And her next door neighbor is Wes, and Wes is someone, they grew up together. They were like, they fought all the time as kids. They basically argue all the time as teenagers. This is YA, by the way. And so basically, it's hard to explain. No, it's not hard to explain. So basically what happens is one of their like mutual neighborhood friends had moved away when they were kids, and he moved back now that they're in high school, and Liz is like, oh my gosh, Michael grew up. Michael's so cute. I want Michael to go to prom with me. So Liz concocts this plan to use Wes to get closer to Michael. So she teams up with Wes. She talks to him about it, and she's like, hey, can you pretend that like you're interested in me, so that way Michael will be interested in me. So the trope of fake dating is involved. The trope of childhood enemies to lovers is involved, and it is so good. There's just so much in this book that is just so incredibly sweet. For example, two things I want to mention. For example, the head of every chapter has a quote from a rom-com. So the prologue has Notting Hill. The first chapter is Sweet Home Alabama, which I was like, oh, I love Sweet Home Alabama. There is a point in here where from my planner girls where she talks about how she puts stickers in her planner, which I was like, oh, love her. But yes, so enemies to lovers, childhood enemies to lovers, fake dating, rom-coms. This had everything I needed. I love fake dating. I love enemies to lovers. And there's a specific scene which I will be incredibly vague about. So if you read this book, you will know when you read it. If you've read this book, you will know. There's this part at the very end where her dad explains how Wes and her were as kids, like playing together, and I had a lump in my throat because I wanted to cry. It was the cutest thing I'd ever read in my whole life. It was so cute. I really loved this. I love it a lot. I actually like, I know I just said, I was like, I don't know if I'll reread or read this anytime soon, the second book. I want to reread this again. Like, I just want to read it right now. It was so cute. I love it so much. So if you took my recommendation for Christina Lauren's Love in Other Words and you read the book and you liked it, here's your next one. It's so cute. I just love it so much. So yeah, Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I already have a bunch of other Lynn Painter books in my wish list because I'm like, I need more of these. So that's the 4 books that I read in March. It kind of sucks because I feel like I had so much more to say about this one because I just finished it. I wish that like I kept like I need to start keeping like a tab, like a note. Sorry I'm all over the place, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye guys.